I met Randy working in the studio. I had done a few things over at his studio, Scruggs Scruggs Studio. And Randy Scruggs was a great guitar player, but that was just the beginning of who he was. Of course, the incredible legacy of the Scruggs family. Earl Scruggs changed the world of music forever when he started playing the banjo in that style. And there were so many repercussions, so many ripples. And Randy joined Local 257 when he was 14 years old and was already playing with his dad in various situations. And then, of course, after the breakup of Flatt and Scruggs, the Earl Scruggs Revue, which featured his three sons, Gary, Steve, and Randy, made some great records and really broke down a lot of barriers between genres of music. And when the Scruggs Revue came to an end, Randy really came into his own as a producer, as a songwriter, and still as a studio musician for other people. He was very humble. He was very unpretentious, but he had a very powerful way of bringing people together into a studio or any musical situation, and he was a master of the art of picking a particular ensemble for a particular project that would give it a unique identity. And with saying very little, he could just create the atmosphere where everyone knew that they were there because they were the right call. And there was just a very quiet confidence. Very few producers can sit in a booth playing acoustic guitar while producing a record. It's really two completely different hats. And a lot of producers will prefer to just sit in the control room and be more like the director of a movie, whereas Randy was an active member of the cast, and he would be producing up until the point where the count off came, and then for 3.5 minutes or for however long the song was, he was an incredible guitar player and member of the band. And then as soon as the take was over, he went right back to being a producer. And there's very few people who can change their focus that quickly. Every time he called, I knew it was going to be something special. And if I had to move some other things out of the way in order to take part in that, I would do so. And we had a really good run of a lot of great records, and we played some wonderful live shows. Of course, when Earl came back out and toured for a couple more years before he passed away, Randy and Gary were both part of that, and that was special. I remember seeing them at the Ryman the last time that Earl performed there, and just that music that they made as a family, standing by itself, would be incredible. But when you look at what happened, before that, when Earl changed the world with his style of banjo playing, and then afterwards with all the wonderful things that Randy and Gary as well have done. Gary's a wonderful songwriter and singer and bass player. And we were fellow bass players, and I had a couple of opportunities where Gary and I got to play together. Earl would have these wonderful birthday celebrations in early January, and you'd show up, and sometimes they were at the house. We did one, I think, at the Country Music Hall of Fame as a little private event, and you just never knew who was going to show up, whether it was Tut Taylor or Travis Tritt or John Hartford or Mark O'Connor or Sam Bush. I mean, it was an incredible opportunity, and you felt like you were part of this special club of people that somehow knew Randy Scruggs and the family, and I'm so grateful for those opportunities that I had to be part of that. To Crown of Jewels, and there's a song on there called Passing Through that features Johnny Cash and Don Henley. And Don Henley sings the words, sings the song, and then we went into this long instrumental fade, and they brought Johnny Cash in to do a recitation of the same words that Don Henley had sung. And it's a song about, we're only here for a bit, we're passing through. And that one hits me right between the eyes right now. But that album, I would urge anybody that didn't know Randy to go listen to that record, because it really is a portrait of who he was in that moment at that time. And the guest list is amazing, but it's not just about who's on it, it's the content. And so I would say that whole album, but that song Passing Through, Probably go back home and listen to it tonight when I get back home. But yeah, I think that album was a real special opportunity for Randy to make his own statement, because he spent most of his life making other people sound great, and that was his chance to really stand out. And I'm so blessed to have been part of that.